Ladies and gentlemen, babies and elephant, welcome to another new video. My name is Bosley, and today I want to bring for you guys Cast on Crit Occultist with Ice Nova and Frostbolt. The budget for this build, I think it's about 5 to 6 divines because I try my very best to keep it as budget as possible so that more of you guys can actually try out the build. Cast on Crit has always been one of my favorite builds. I try to do every single league. I'll try to go for a COC, and surprisingly, this build is doing quite decent. Now, don't get me wrong, it's about 5 to 6 divines. You can't expect to kill all the Uber bosses without dying and stuff like that. But I would say it's pretty comfortable for the amount of the currency you invested to clear all the tier 16 maps and do some bosses. Not Uber bosses, but most of the bosses you'll be fine. Maybe you'll die occasionally, some here and there, but still, you'll have a good time playing this build because of the shattering in the screen, all the ice blowing everywhere, the frostball flying everywhere. It's just so satisfying to play with. Now, this time, usually I'll go for Assassin, but this time around, I've never tried with the Occultist. I believe the Occultist actually has higher damage, but maybe a slightly lower potential on the crit. But if you can actually cover back on the crit side, you actually will do a lot better with the Occultist rather than the Assassin. Now, let's just jump straight into the Ascendancy first. So the Ascendancy here, we are using the Occultist. Now, if you're going for this build and you are using a new character, I assume so, then you want to go for Void Beacon first, depending on what skill you're using. If you're using a cold skill, then definitely go for Void Beacon first because the nearby enemies have 20% cold resistance, negative on cold resist. And also, they have 100% reduced life regeneration. If you guys have noticed recently, you guys have been playing a lot, you realize that actually a lot of rare monsters has really huge high life regen, which is really annoying. Okay, so this one will actually help you a lot in killing them, and it takes a lot shorter to kill them rather than taking like a few minutes just to kill one stupid rare monster. Okay, so Void Beacon is number 1, and then after that, Frigid Wake will be the second one because this one you can't be chilled, you can't be frozen. Very good defensive layer. More cold damage. Every 4 seconds, it will freeze nearby enemies, it will chill nearby enemies, and nearby enemies chill will deal less damage to you. Very nice. And then after that, you want to go for Forbidden Power. So this one gives us increased area effect per power charge, increased damage per power charge, gain a power charge when you spend 200 mana, and 1 maximum power charge. And last but not least, you want to go for Unholy Authority. Now, you can apply additional curse. The thing is this, right? I'm trying my best to fit 2 curses at the moment. But at the moment now, I only have 1 curse. There's a lot of room for improvement for the build. You can actually apply 1 more curse like Elemental Weakness, or you can apply Assassin's Mark, depending on what you want. But I'm trying to figure out where should I put the second curse. So stay tuned for that one, okay? So next up, we're going to talk about the gear choices here. So the gear choices is definitely the traditional Cospress Malice low life build. We're going with Prism Guardian to allow us to actually reserve more mana or more life, to reserve more auras, to get the most juice out of the auras, and also reserve life so that in order to put us into the low life category, okay? Now the Cospress Malice here, this is the thing, right? You have to try, okay, I'm just going to bring you real quick on the POB here. Okay, you see here, the POB, there's a trigger rate. Now for the COC, if you guys are new to COC, right, there is a trigger rate, the server tick rate. Now this is actually a bit complicated. I would suggest that you guys go on YouTube and search for actual video to understand better on this trigger rate. I'm not going to explain too much on this one. Basically, when there's a few thresholds, right? So you want to make sure you have at least 14% cooldown recovery rate. Now that's number 1. Once you achieve that, you have to make sure that your Cyclone, which you're using to trigger the COC, your Cyclone has to be below 7.57 attack rate, which is the attack speed. Now, if you go more than 757, your DPS will drop. Okay, if you go too far away, too low and far away from 757, you will lose DPS as well. So you want to try to get your attack rate as close as 7.57 as possible. Now, if you have a lot of budget, you want to push it further, you can, but you need to push up to, I think, about 52% cooldown recovery rate, which requires you to get like Awakened Cast on Crit and stuff like that, and it's going to be very expensive. That one you can actually push up to 10 attack rate, and you can trigger a lot more. So, but now we're on the budget version, so this one is actually doing pretty fine for me. So this one, I have tried my best to put it up to 7.57. Closest to it, I got about 7.16. Probably you can get a bit more attack speed just to push it a bit further, but the DPS isn't that much of a difference. It is a bit of a difference, but it depends on how comfortable you are in terms of currency. Okay, so that is the Cosmos Madness. Now, for me, I did the adjustments. I need actually 9% attack speed on the Cosmos Malice. I got it 8. I'll change it later on. So the reason why I made this build because I had like 5-6 devices lying around. So I wanted to make a COC because I haven't played it. I think last thing I haven't played a COC as well. So surprisingly, with this budget, it actually performs pretty decently good. Okay. Now this is the Cosmos Malice. Prism Guardian. You want to get the corrupted one, non-corrupted, depending on your ally resist. If you have plenty of ally resist, you can go for a corrupted one like +2 aura gems and stuff like that. Blizzard Crown because the added cold damage on the implicit, and also this one. Okay, so when I mentioned about 5 to 6 divines, I assume that this one is included in the budget as well. Basically, you might want to do it yourself. So how do you go about this, right? This one, the only problem that you will face with this one, right, the Blizzard Crown, is that the +1 maximum power charge. Now, this is the only problem you will face. Now, Awakener's Orbs are really cheap. It's about 40 chaos each, if I'm not wrong. Nearby enemies minus cold resistance is not that hard to get. There's plenty of bases out there that you can actually get. I'm assuming you guys already know how to do Awakener Orb transfers and stuff to combine both influence items. So the power charges is the only one problem that you will face if you want to get the extra power charge. Now, don't get me wrong, you can do it perfectly fine without the maximum power charge. That will put you in 7 power charges, but 1 additional power charge, you can try your best to put it in. Now, I'm going to say roughly the helmet will be about 1.5 to 2 divines after you combine it together. The base for the nearby enemies, cold resist, will be about what, 20-30 C. Awakener's Orb will be about 40 C. So you have about at least 1.5 divines to find a Blizzard Crown base that actually, wait. So if I'm not wrong, maximum power charges, I apologize for the bad preparation. I just want to give you guys the right information. I don't want to bring you guys in the wrong direction. So here we're going to go for helmets, and we go for, I guess, this intelligence will do. So just want to make sure that you want to get level 85 base, because the problem with Blizzard Crown, the base will go up to 82 to 83. So you have problems getting the maximum power charges. I think the maximum power charges should be, it's a hunter influence. So okay. So it's level 75. So any Blizzard Crown can actually have a maximum power charges. So you want to get maximum power charges, only 1 influence, maximum power charges on your Blizzard Crown, and get any helmet with the nearby enemies, and then transfer the nearby enemies cold resist onto the Blizzard Crown. Or you can just use without the transfer and just use the maximum power charges, depending on you want. Or you can just use the cold resistor without the power charges. It depends on how much budget you have. I'm just going to try my luck and see what are the range of prices for the Blizzard Crown with maximum power charges, because I think I picked I got mine for like 1 divine or something slightly a bit less than 1 divine, if I'm not wrong. So we go for Blizzard Crown over here, and then we go for maximum power charges over here. Power charges. Minimum, not minimum. We want to go for the maximum power charges. Okay, you know what? Maximum power. Not the implicit, so it's here. Okay, maximum power charges. Now here, you just want to search. So it's about 1.5 divine to 2 divine. So the price might have gone up a little bit more. So you can get a base like this. So I'm assuming it's about 2 divines for the whole shenanigan. Okay. So you get the base like this on the 1.5 divine, get a Awakener's Orb, and get a helmet with the cold resist, and then just transfer that one over to this one, and boom, voila, you got it done. Okay. Now, if you don't want to use a Blizzard Crown, you can go for Praetor's Crown, I think. If I didn't pronounce it wrongly. That one is a bit more defensive. That one is the helmet that drops from Cirrus. That one gives you Transfiguration of Soul, Mind, and something. That one is a much more defensive helmet. You can use that one as well if you, have have lower budget, depends. So this one is what I went for. Prism Guardian. Chevron wrappings is definitely a must-go because of the energy shield, and chaos damage does not bypass the energy shield because you're running on low life. If it bypasses, you will die immediately because you only have 122 life, okay? Or whatever the amount is. So Chevron wrappings is actually the must go to. Now, if you don't want to, you want to go for a 6-link one, it's going to be like 1.5 to 2 divines. If you can go for a 5-link one, it will be about less than 1 divine, or definitely less than that. So if you were to go for a 5-link one, in terms of the gems, you can drop added cold damage. Now, depending on how many power charges you only have 7, you can drop power charge on crit. You can actually go for cold damage, depending on whichever that gives you more DPS. You got 6-link, you have both. Okay. Now the rings, Circle of Fear. This one I went for global accuracy on the implicit. This one you want to try to get as much dexterity as you can because you need 212 dexterity, which I have 214. Here you get dexterity, cold damage. You want to get cold damage while affected by Herald Ice, and Herald Ice have increased buffed effect. Okay. For the diamond ring, now this ring I actually got a special one, the synthesized one, because nowadays there's a lot of people actually playing around with a synthesized beast. So this one is actually pretty easy to get because previously in the previous leagues without the beast, if you want to get something like this, it's going to cost you a lot of currency. But as for now, for the base, let's say I'm just going to remove all this and I'm just going to go for the implicit synthesized. Just search for the ring. It's actually cheap. See? So what you want to do is just want to get a base ring. Try to get a higher power, item level one, probably about 81, something like this one. You can get for like 20 to 30 chaos and just craft it yourself. And then you want to use Essence of Sorrow, I think, for the dexterity, and then just craft dexterity on it, and then whatever you get, resist and whatever, and craft a non-channeling on the ring for -7 total mana cost. Okay, really cool because if you have 8 power charges is 8 times 6 will be 48, so that's 48% increased spell damage, which is huge. For the gloves, I'm using increased damage against shield enemies with some resist and some energy shield. For the implicits, you want to get for Ether Worlds, you want to get cold exposure on hit, and you get unnerve on unnerve enemies 4 seconds on hit for increased spell damage taken. For the boots, I'm using cooldown recovery rate because I actually got this belt. I crafted myself with the energy shield and energy shield, tier 1 energy shield and tier 3 energy shield, and some strength. I needed some strength as well, so I had to use the crafted cooldown recovery rate on my crafting bench. You can actually get a Crusader base and still get a tier 1 cooldown recovery rate on the roll if you manage to get it. If you get it, then you don't have to craft this one. I just want to keep the belt, so I crafted this one on. So I need 14%, so I only have 11 here, so I had to use a cooldown recovery rate on my boots, so to fulfill the 14% cooldown recovery rate. And drops Brittle Ground, this one is very important as well. So when you drop Brittle Ground when you're moving around, the enemies will have, you will have +2% crit strike chance against them, which is huge in your DPS. It will help you a lot on your crit chance. And some resist, some move speed, and some dexterity. As you can see, right, the mods, the explicits in my gear are actually very, very below average. Look at this, like strength. Okay, this one is decent, but this one is like crap boots, right? It's basically just resist, some dexterity, and some, even a crafted move speed. The ring is just dexterity, some accuracy, and some all res and non-channeling. It's basically very simple stuff. The gloves is just a hits against shield enemies. Now, how you want to get the gloves? Very simple. I'm going to show you guys how to get the gloves. So you want to reset this one first. And then you want to go for, just type shield enemies. Okay? Increase damage with hits against shield enemies. And then just want to make sure you choose gloves. And then after that, boom, you just search for one. And then here you can just shop for whatever you need and find the right one. So here you need, because you need energy shield, so you're going to go for energy shield and try to go for 0 armor and 0 evasion. So you're going to go for pure energy based gloves. And here you can just find, like, see, this one, they have cold resist, fire resist, and then you can just filter here. It's a 5 to 10 chaos for the gloves, and then you just craft on from there. Just use whatever that you can get you going, and then after that you just, you know, upgrade yourself in terms of the gear. Okay, so those are the gear choices. Now the next up, we're going to talk about the gem links. Now the gem links here, that is going to be triggered by the Prosperous Malice. will be Frostbolt and Ice Nova. So I have 2 Ice Nova set up and 1 Frostbolt set up. Now the Frostbolt will be linked with GMP. I'm just using a normal level 21 GMP. You can use Ice Nova here. Now you can choose to use the Val Ice Nova or Ice Nova. It's up to you. The reason why I want to use Val Ice Nova is in case there's a huge pack, you can just use Val Ice Nova and everything will just shatter. Okay, so this is the link for the weapon. So how the weapon trigger works, it will trigger the skill on the top and then bottom. So it will go in this sequence. Frostbolt, Ice Nova, Frostbolt, Ice Nova, Frostbolt, Ice Nova. That's how it... So if you switch Ice Nova up here and Frostbolt down here, it will trigger Ice Nova first and then Frostbolt. So that's how the sequence works. On the helmet, I'm using Grace, Precision, Discipline, and Skitterbots. On the shield, I'm using Herald Hatred, Herald of Vice, and Zealotry. On I forgot to mention about the presence of Chayula, because this one allows you stun immunity and gives you a huge ton of KR resist, which is really, really cool for the build. On the main link will be Cyclone. You can just use the normal Cyclone. I already have this Divergent Cyclone sitting around for my other build, my General Scry build, so I just shift it over. You can just use the normal Cyclone, okay? With Cast on Crit, Added Cold, Ice Nova, Inspiration, and Power Charge on Crit, okay? On the gloves will be Hex Touch, Frostbite, Vortex, and Bone Chill. Now, the reason why I'm using Hex Touch and Frostbite here, I needed to apply a curse. And I'm too lazy to self-curse it, okay? So I can't have a curse on hit on the ring because I have the implicit, the synthesized implicit. So I needed to find a place to actually apply the curse. So I'm using the Hex Touch on Frostbite with my Vortex. So when I run around with my Vortex, whoever that's standing in the area of the Vortex will be triggered with the Frostbite, okay? That's the reason why I'm saying that I'm having trouble trying to fit in another curse. If you guys have any suggestions, you can actually give me some suggestions in the comment section as well. For the boots, Bone Chill will greatly increase the chill effect on the enemies, and Vortex will be a huge DPS increase as well. A good DPS, additional DPS that you can get out of. Cast when damage taken for Immortal Call. You can choose not to use it if you don't want to. I'm just using this to get the extra layer of defensive layer to get less elemental and physical damage taken. Clarity for mana regen, and also Flame Dash. That is the gem links. The flask is very straightforward. Now this one I'm using a sulfur flask. Definitely, if you have the budget, go for Borrowed Faith, but I'm just trying to show you guys the budget version, so I'm just using a sulfur flask. So this one gives me immunity to the Ignite. Now, the one thing you want to know about all the flasks is, you want to try to get the mod that gives you a % of chance to gain a flask charge when you deal a crit strike, so that you can have infinite charges as you crit. That will greatly help you, even though you're mapping or you're bossing. Going to be perfect. So you want to make sure you get all the flask charges when you on crit strike on your flask. This one I have immunity on burning. This one gives me attack speed because I needed attack speed to trigger more trigger rate. This one gives me immunity to bleeding. This one immunity to shock, and this one immunity to poison. And I already have immunity to freeze and cold, freeze and chill. Immunity to stun as well. So I have quite a lot of immunity as well. At the moment, I have like evasion rate. I have 50%. When I use Val Grace, will be about 78 to 80% evade on attacks, which is pretty decent. And yeah, this is the flask choices: Diamond Flask, some evasion rating, Quicksilver for move speed, Onslaught. Definitely, you want to get the Onslaught because you need more attack speed to trigger it. So all these things in terms of the trigger rate, it depends on what you can get kind of attack speed on your gear or on your skill tree. Okay, just try to remember to get your attack rate close to 7.57. That's it. The Pantheons here, I'm using Lunaris because I'm mapping a lot. So this one gives me physical damage reduction for nearby enemies, chance to avoid projectiles, reduce elemental damage taken, and also avoid projectiles that have chain. I've been meaning to change this one. So for this one, what you would like to go for, you can actually go for this one, which is the Shikari. So you can't be poisoned if you have poison, or you can go for Garukan, so you can't be blinded or you can't be maimed with the additional mod. Or you can actually go for Ignite as well, Abrath. So unaffected by Burning Ground, because a lot of maps nowadays have a lot of Burning Ground, so you can use the one. You have to capture a Magira so that you can get immunity to Burning Ground as well, so it's really up to you what you want to use. Okay, Bandits, I believe I killed all, yes. So I killed all the bandits to get the 2 additional skill points because I needed it and I don't really care about the regen and crit multi from Malera. Okay, so last but not least, the skill tree. Now, the skill tree here, this is a non-cluster jewel, cluster jewel version of the build. So you will save a lot of currency for this build in terms of not getting the cluster jewels. Okay, so here we have power charge over here. Okay, sorry, we're going to start off over here, energy shield and mana. You want to move up here and go for deep wisdom and then arcane focus for energy shield. Pain attunement only when you have low life. And then after that, you want to move upwards and then go for Throat Seeker for crit multi. And then go down here, influence and written in blood. Doomcast for crit chance for crit chance and crit multi for your spells. And then move down here. The thing is that you would need to pick up a Militant Faith, a Timeless Jewel in order to get this mod, which is the Inner Conviction. You have to make sure the Militant Faith Jewel is converted by High Templar Dominus, okay? And this is actually quite important as well. It will help you sustain your mana. Is try to get reduced mana cost of skills per 10 devotion on the jewel so that it will reduce mana cost of all the skills that you're triggering. Here, depth perception. Here we get accuracy here, and precision has increased mana reservation efficiency. One with evil for chaos resist. Mind drinker for sustain on your mana when you're mapping. And then over here some mana and mana regen. And then after here I picked up elemental focus for some ailments, elemental damage and non-damaging ailments, and assassination for crit chance and crit multi. And then move this way, you want to pick up all the Heart of Ice nodes over here, and then Breath of Rhyme over here. And then Power Charge node over here, Jewel Socket over here. You want to pick up Disciple of the Forbidden as well to power charge all the power charge related nodes over here. And then pick up Unnatural Calm for energy shield nodes over here. Over down here you get Arcane Potency. So this one gives you crit chance and crit multi again for your spell. And then after that, Sovereignty for all the mana reservation nodes. Here I'm just using 8% increased damage for each of your aura because we have a lot of auras running. So this one will give us some DPS increase. Faith in Steel for some energy shield and elemental resist. Power charge and Jewel Socket. Okay, that is the skill tree. In terms of the DPS, it's about 7.3 million DPS, as you can see here. This one is configuration for Guardian and Pinnacle bosses. We have Power Charge, Onslaught, Flask Active, Chill, Brittle Ground, Shock, and Unnerve. So the DPS is actually quite decent. You can actually kill a lot of bosses with the build. The survivability is actually quite decent as well. The pros and cons of the build is screen shattering, really nice attack, what do you call, clear speed. And then after that, you have I would say decent or basic defensive layers. The cons of the build is actually, in order to scale this, you're going to require a lot of currency. And after that, the defensive layer, sometimes you will die occasionally here and there, you know. But overall, if you love COC, this is definitely the build you want to go for, okay? Now, if you have guys like the video, please like and subscribe to my channel. If you guys have any comments, please drop a comment down below. I hope I see you guys on the next video. Peace out.